Silence as the dust settles on the horizon. Feel the embers stirring. Can you hear them calling? This is the end of the world. New beginning rising. Come find me. This is the end of the world. Can't stop the revolution that's coming. This is the end. This is the end of the all around. I see death and defeat and destruction. The sound of my heart beating like an eruption. But I feel so alive. This is the end of the world. New beginning rising. Come find me. This is the end of the world. Can't stop the revolution that's coming. This is the end. This is the end of the This is the end of the world. New beginning rising. Come find me. This is the end of the world. Can't stop the revolution that's coming. This is the end. This is the end of the world.
Sucker for pain and I love it. Bloodstains in the gutter from troubled genius with a self-perception devious. Now Amadeus on a deathbed, turn 80 in a casket. Yeah, fuck that. Figment of my pride and I can't lock up myself for an hour, let alone be with another. Yeah. Conscious, guilty, but there's a reason why I can't feel the love. No prayers on a deathbed. 280 on the fast track. Yeah, fuck that. Empty frame on the tables like a mirror. Every tear's raining up, and I think there's something wrong with me. Demons got a hold of me, creeping up all over me. Tiptoe and I run into the next point of a gun until I end up feeling none. Up in my fortress, hope's getting hopeless. Nah, my magnum opus. Tiptoe and I run into the next point of a gun until I end up feeling none. Up in my fortress, hope's getting hopeless. Nah, my magnum opus. Got everything that I wanted, the embrace of a mother and a shot at my legacy. Still looking with an angry blind spot at my masterpiece. Yeah. Need a drug, need a fast release. Need to get up, find the puzzle piece. Yeah, yeah. Figment of my yeah. Live my life undercover. Every day's getting older. Blurry images show me how to stay oblivious. Yeah, Amadeus on a deathbed, 280 on the fast track. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah. Empty frame on the tables like a mirror. Tiptoe and I run into the next point of a gun until I end up feeling none. Up in my fortress, hope's getting hopeless. Nah, my magnum opus. Tiptoe and I run into the next point of a gun until I end up feeling none. Up in my fortress, hope's getting hopeless. Nah, my magnum opus.
Okay, it's been a week. Let me okay. I think I'm just going to get right into it. Do not harass anyone mentioned in these videos, whether it be the people in the videos or the people making the videos. I do videos like this just to correct misinformation, because there is a lot of misinformation out there, but that does not mean that the people who are spreading it, whether they are aware of it or not, deserve to be attacked or harassed. I know I did not finish this one, so I'm going to finish this one first.
TikTok video. But now imagine that while trying to juggle different alters on top of that, consistently forcing switches like a system claims to do. It's a recipe for a serious strain on your body, messing with things like the vagus nerve.
You have DID, you have trauma. Are all alters created from trauma? No. But in order to have the disorder, you
All alternative states in DID are created from severe repetitive trauma, as stated by DID-based guidelines. This trauma usually occurs before the age of 6. From the resources that I have read, and from my current knowledge, it is caused by repetitive trauma before the ages of around 7 to 9, whenever the personality fully integrates. Once the personality fully integrates, you cannot develop DID. You also need disorganized attachments to your primary caregivers, and the inherent ability to dissociate to high levels.
have to have gone through trauma.
Again, all of the alternated states in dissociative identity disorder are a result of intense, repeated, distressing experiences. So if you're out here proudly telling everyone online that you have this disorder without any legitimate reason, maybe it's time to reconsider your...
That is like saying that someone with PTSD should not be open about having PTSD. That someone with something like schizophrenia should not be open about having it. The reason that people are open about their disorders is, one, because they feel safe to do so, and they feel safe with the information that they are sharing. 2, to spread awareness and decrease the stigma, especially because of things like Split. Like other media portrayals of DID, which are horrendous. And 3, just because they can. Just because they want to and they can. That is it. If someone wants to speak about their experiences, they should be able to without any judgment. Or saying that because they went through horrible experiences, they should be cut off from seeking any sort of community or trying to educate people or just simply existing.
Or history, turning this into a fun little game and creating videos online while the people that really suffer with this have literally gone through hell is just disgusting.
You don't know what they've been through. You cannot claim to know what they've been through from a few 15-second videos on the internet. Some systems do share their trauma, whether it be all of it or parts of it, depending on if they feel safe doing so, if they even want to. But we have shared small pieces of our trauma. That doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. But systems do not owe you an explanation of the trauma that they experienced. And saying that because the system is making TikTok videos about their disorder and existing as they are, claiming that because of that they haven't gone through horrible experiences that caused the DID to develop, that is I am trying to keep emotions out of this, but it's very ignorant to do that. It's also very arrogant because you are assuming things about people and assuming that you know them. Do not claim that someone has not gone through horrific experiences. Especially if they are being open in speaking about some of them.
Obviously, that's why I make these videos at this point, to highlight just how absurd these TikTokers are really being. But I'm not surprised that some of you even watching this are probably mad at me. They spread so much misinformation out there that you probably think I'm lying, when just one quick Google search, like I said at the beginning of the video, will show you I'm not. They are the ones lying. So
again, there are no sources cited. It's not even stated verbally where the information is coming from. I am speaking on this as someone who lives with and suffers with DID. We have been professionally diagnosed twice now. Once by a trauma specialist and recently again by our DID specialist. So everything that I'm saying is coming from what we know from our own research, which I forgot to state in the last stream, that in the VOD, in the comments, there is a pinned comment. It links to first a Google Doc that we went over in full in a different VOD addressing the FDC subreddit. I know that the VOD is still up if anyone is interested in that, but all of the sources are there in the Google document. And also just speaking from our own experiences.
If you are a fan of the A system, please Google what I've said and Google what he said, and then come back to this video and leave your comment then. Because, I mean, if you're identifying yourself as an endogenic system, just be upfront about it.
The A system has never claimed to be endogenic. We did do a video on endogenics. We do not support endogenics. This is not a safe space for endogenics, especially if you are invading DID and OSDD spaces. But the A system has never claimed to be endogenic.
About it, though the existence of endogenic systems is still being debated, and I'm personally among those who doubt their validity.
I do agree with them here. You cannot be a system without trauma. Therefore, endogenic systems do not exist. A system is someone with DID or OSDD. And you need trauma to develop DID and OSDD. Therefore, endogenic systems do not exist.
But research is still ongoing, and of course, opinions can change. But the main point is, alters can't form just from stories, books, or Netflix series.
Okay. Alters form due to trauma. I know in the Google document we have sources for fictives and factives, and introducts in general, which is what he's speaking about. Both are backed up by research. Think of it this way. If you are a young child going through horrific trauma, and you have a favorite TV show or a book series that you watch or read all the time to help cope with the trauma that you are experiencing, your brain is going to latch onto that in a lot of cases. Because in the mind of a child who is going through horrific trauma, who thinks that they are not going to survive it, they may wish that they were a superhero, or a superhero was coming to save them, or someone strong and powerful, or that they had their favorite character with them to help them through it. And that's also why non-human alters and animal alters form. Systems do not choose their alters. We don't choose who forms, we don't choose, in most cases, we don't choose fusions or splits or shatters or dormancies. And once DID develops, the system can continue splitting throughout their entire life. If there is new trauma or stress, it also depends on the system's stress tolerance. If they have a very low stress tolerance, then they are going to split more frequently and more easily. If they have a higher stress tolerance, then they won't.
You can't trade, buy, or sell alters between individuals, or even acquire one from TikTok filters. This sounds ridiculous even saying this out loud.
I've never really gotten into looking into any of the buying or selling alters or whatever. It's a completely ridiculous concept. You can't just decide to sell an alter to a different system and get rid of that alter.
Loud, but somehow these people are doing just that, and other people are believing it.
Hi everybody, it's your friendly female alter art. We just did our Amazon wish list. I know people have been asking for that, but we had to rapid switch to do it. We were rapid switching and we were all up front trying to talk at the same time for about an hour. When we try to do things like that, it can be very disorienting for the system.
Hey everybody, it's April from the A System. I just wanted to jump on here and say thank you to everybody that has sent us something in a...
So admitting to receiving gifts does not mean that you are faking or even doing it for monetary gain. Just because someone who has a large following online does have something like a P.O. box does not mean that they are doing it for the money. It's a very normal thing within spaces of popular creators to have things like P.O. boxes, especially if people are offering to send things.
P.O. box. Our P.O. box has been full for like the last week. Got so many amazing things. I've got 3 wigs now that I can style and have it however I want. I've got makeup and makeup brushes so I can try out makeup. Art got cat ears, and Asher got a t-shirt, and Asher got a sign that says the best altar on it. Annie got some more t-shirts that she absolutely loves, and she also got a dress, which she does wear. I know we didn't get to do the unboxing on here, but we're thinking about doing unboxings for our YouTube channel. It'll probably be one of our first YouTube videos is unboxing videos.
And just like other phonies out there with their fabricated stories and made-up disorders, they always seem to get some perks from this. I mean, look at you, Chris, getting all excited about receiving 3 more wigs to play with on your...
Okay. So he did show... He did show the video of them showing their diagnosis. being excited to receive gifts does not mean that that is the only reason that you are doing something. You cannot control whether or not you go viral online, for the most part. You can work with algorithms and things, but you cannot predict anything. Are there some people who do it for attention and for monetary gain and gifts? Probably. That goes for every single space. And an alter being excited to have things to make them feel more comfortable when they are fronting is a very normal system experience. It's very normal for us. We have friends who it's also very normal for.
Disorders, they always seem to get some perks from this. I mean, look at you, Chris, getting all excited about receiving 3 more wigs to play with on your TikTok dramas. Ooh, boy oh boy. Good for you, Chris. And I suppose there'll be even more alters for me to debunk in future videos. Please.
Hold on. Dr. Bethany Brand states that most, if not all, patients enter therapy unaware they even have DID, but seek help due to depression or CPTSD symptoms. For us, personally, we started therapy, I want to say middle school. Somewhere around there. I'm not entirely sure. And that was I want to say 2012 or 2013. And we did not know that we had DID until 2021. Throughout the years in between when we first started therapy and when we got our correct diagnosis of DID, we were being put through the wrong types of therapy. We were in and out of hospitals due to attempts and ideations, and we were being misdiagnosed. So when someone first enters therapy, the very first time they ever enter a therapy space, they may not know that they have DID. It's very common for that to be the case. But that does not mean that it takes a therapist telling someone that they have DID for that to be when the person first finds out they have DID. We found out that we had DID in early 2021. We found our trauma specialist who first diagnosed us, I want to say a couple months later, not very long after. But we went in already aware that we had DID most likely. And that is the case with a lot of other systems, where they will go through life not knowing, something happens, they discover their system, and they don't need a therapist to tell them that is what's going on, because they figured it out on their own. For some systems, they don't know until a therapist tells them, but a therapist does not need to.
Chris, go tell your audience, thank you from us, for all those generous giveaways from your loyal fans. Yes, because if I put on a wig, I'm suddenly a different person. Wait until they hear about Comic-Con, guys.
They never claimed to be a different alter just by putting on a wig. It is much more complicated than that. We don't suddenly put on makeup and suddenly it's me who's out. It isn't some role play. When age-regressed alternative states present themselves, they are usually unaware of present-day items and sometimes present-day time. How is this child-altered state aware of online or media apps? If you noticed, the live media influenced his child state to be out, and his wife also encourages this behavior. I have never heard of child alters usually being unaware of present day items, especially for systems where their littles are out more frequently. There are alters who may not have fronted for a period of time and won't know about those things, but especially if they are out more often and have been out, there is no reason that they wouldn't be aware of things in the present day. Our littles haven't been out in a while due to something that I will not get into. That it is not safe for us to get into. But when they are out, or when they used to be out, they knew about technology existing. When our littles are fronting, we always have a caretaker or some type of adult right in front with them to make sure that nothing happens. So those alters can explain to the littles in our system anything that may have changed or anything different, like us not being in the same house, for example. But there's no reason that they would not be aware of online or media apps.
It's like a freak.
This has nothing to do with DID. You don't need to mention the national anthem and our country and
Be very, very happy. Oh, hi, friend. We haven't seen you for like 2 hours. Welcome back. There's the troll. We haven't seen you in like 2 lives.
The
Welcome
one
back.
troll that you
Okay.
guys don't actually block. You
We just let him go.
So you have your one troll. Oh my
It's like our one. It's like having a pet.
Okay, hold up 1 second. Didn't he claim to have 29 alters? So think about it. How is it that all of them conveniently know about receiving gifts online? Isn't that...
system communication is a thing that exists. I also don't know why you are assuming all of the alters in the A system are aware of that. Because as far as I know, the A system has said that they have alters who rarely, if ever, front. And even if an alter fronts who isn't aware of what's going on, for one, their wife can tell them what's going on. For two, other alters in the system can tell them what's going on. Not everything that happens in their life is posted online.
that a little bit fishy? I mean, last time I checked, DID is characterized by significant memory gaps and amnesia between alters.
Yes, amnesia walls do exist. Memory gaps do exist in DID. It is horrendous, but that does not mean that we cannot work on communicating and breaking down the dissociative barriers. That is essential for the healing process with DID. Even if you are not going for something like Final Fusion, it is essential to be able to integrate with your alters. Not necessarily fuse, because they are two different things. But alters being able to communicate is a very good thing, and ultimately helps in the healing process.
According to the DSM-5. And yes, that's a key diagnostic criteria. But I guess let's just throw that one away. That one doesn't matter, apparently, to Chris.
It's April. We're rapid switching, and I want to make a video about it. Every time we switch, whoever switches in is going to be on camera and tell you what time it is. That way y'all can see how often we switch, because we get that question a lot. We are very switchy today, though. So it is 1 o'clock.
Last time I checked, isn't the main criteria in the DSM-5 loss of time and amnesia? Yes. Again, alters can communicate. I believe I said this in the previous stream, but the front 5 in the A system do all have very good communication with each other. And it is mainly them who do switch out with each other. And again, even if it is a different alter, they can communicate to them what is going on.
Let's see what happens.
Hey everyone, it's Asher. It's 104. We're not making it that long. Triggered out because we need to clean.
Hi, it's Art. It's 106, and I got triggered out by somebody texting us. Hi, everybody. It's 108. We walked into the bedroom, and I got triggered out by one of my shirts. Today's gonna suck.
Hey, it's Alex. It is 118. We decided to go live and shoot a video about what's going on right now and just to show the world what rapid switching looks like.
And in this other video, each alter seems to know every single detail of what the others are doing. So, guys, please help me, because I'm pulling out my hair at this point. How does any of that...
So with improved communication and the lowering of dissociative barriers, the lowering of amnesia barriers is also a thing that happens. The more a system works on communication and integration, the less amnesia and dissociation between those alters.
work? Literally, none of that makes any sense. I mean, are they sharing a Google Calendar or something in his head? Is our boy Chris here part of the new Neuralink program with Elon Musk? And don't get me wrong, look, I'm all for creative storytelling, but when it comes to something as serious as
He starts to influence children to openly express alters publicly. This is a child that also claims to have DID. The switching goes very smoothly without any just cause for both of them. Exposing children online with mental health issues isn't safe.
ID, like you guys, I agreed.
That is the sprite system, if I'm not mistaken, and they were used as an example in that horrific and awful video by the McLean Hospital. They are an adult.
That it's pretty important to stick with the facts.
It's okay, get excited.
It's just cute. I shouldn't
There's a
be.
heart kissing your
I
face.
know. Do you have Lilith in the front room? Honestly, it feels like it right now. That's the last thing we need.
I mean, I'm right here. Hey. Do you want to tell everybody? Your story about how
Yeah, I tried to get us out.
you want to tell them?
I tried to get us out. I'm not supposed to be on lives.
I'm right here.
I'm not supposed to be on lives.
Well, okay.
Let me go back.
Okay.
Let me go back. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's not as big of a deal as long as I'm here.
No, I'm gonna go back.
Okay.
Also, when these
So obviously that was just an example of alters being able to communicate. And their spouse being there for support and help. And their spouse obviously was telling the little sort of what was going on.
so-called age-regressed alters pop up, they're usually clueless about modern stuff and have no idea.
I would like to see a source for that because I have never heard that.
What year it is. And if your alter is stuck at 8 years old, well, good luck teaching them about TikTok or the latest apps, especially if they're a 90s kid. They're basically at that point stuck in idle mode with occasional flashes of the present. But
No. That would be like saying that Bailey, for example, is stuck in 2018, 2019, because he's around that age. Bailey is our current host. They know what is going on in the present day. There are alters who can get stuck during certain times and may end up having repeated flashbacks of that time. They may be stuck in a certain day, but just because they are a certain age does not mean that they can't learn about the present day.
Again, how does his child alter suddenly become an expert on social media apps? Wow.
It didn't seem like the little was an expert on social media apps from that video. I didn't think that they touched the phone at all. Their wife was there, talking with them, and all they said was that they weren't supposed to be on live streams. I don't know how that makes them an expert.
That really is magic. I doubt that the live media he's exposed to triggers his little alter to come forward, and his wife even encourages this behavior. She must really be committed, supporting her husband through all this switching to fake alters for better or for worse.
I completely lost my train of thought. I was going to say something I can't remember, so I'm moving on.
So when he started on TikTok, he had Art, Usher, April, Alex, Annie, Ashley, Andrew, and a little alter whose name we didn't know, and one in their 50s, all while he is 31. So one big question is, how the hell did he manage to suddenly rack up 10 new alters?
Systems can split later on in life, like I said before. If there is new trauma or new stress, especially if the system has a lower stress tolerance, you don't just stop splitting alters after a certain age.
At the beginning of 23, without going through some serious shit.
How do you know that the A system did not go through something horrible? Actually, I want to see. In 2023 was when the McLean video came out. The A system was in the McLean video without their consent. The McLean video was traumatic for the system community as a whole, but for especially the people who were in that video. So if they want an example of what trauma the A system went through to split new alters, that is a great example. Because the McLean situation was just horrific, and the community is still feeling the effects of it today.
Again, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious. What do you guys think? Maybe he went onto eBay and bought some new altars. As funny as that joke was, guys, and I'm sure you're rolling off of your chairs right now, that is a real thing, by the way. These people are selling altars on eBay. I could not make it sound any more goofier, even if I tried. It's insane.
But then they didn't show any proof of altars being sold on eBay. I need to speed this up.
For the record, this was not DidCon, this was not DID Fest, this was not celebrating this disorder. What this was content creators that have this disorder getting together as a community to say, hey, you're not alone, I'm with you, we're together, we can do things. This isn't bad. I don't see why people are being like, you're celebrating this disorder. No, what we're celebrating is surviving what we went through. That's it.
McLean Hospital. Do you want to know what the McLean Hospital video?
There we go. They even put... You can see the date right there, 2023. The McLean Hospital used the ACE system as an example of someone with a fictitious disorder, saying that they were faking having DID without ever speaking to the ACE system, without ever consulting them or getting consent. They never even treated the ACE system as a patient.
Really did to the DID community. DID community online, there's always infighting. There's always somebody beefing with somebody else. Then Dr. What's-His-Nuts was all like, I don't like how you're presenting this. The entire DID online community paused, turned, and said, Bestie, you really want to do this? The community right now is stronger than it's ever been. Thanks, Bestie.
A system is basically cut from the same cloth as all those other fakers we've talked about.
I have issues with pink sugar fairies for reasons not even related to DID. I have issues with Stuff with Bits for some of their opinions on littles and consent, which is why I am not going to react very much to either of them
on my channel. So when you see a system that actually sticks with a real advocate for this disorder, it's quite surprising. Supposedly the meet and greet event that TikTok DID community hosted was meant to garner support and educate people. Cool. But what the fuck is educational about having drinks and signing autographs?
They don't need to be educational every second of the meetup. Those videos are showing that they are just like anyone else. They can go out and have fun and just exist.
With real professionals. They even seem to handle triggers very well with all that noise and flashing lights everywhere, which is also very amazing, guys. Maybe, could it possibly be, guys? I don't know, this might be quite the stretch, but could that have just been an event for self-diagnosed individuals?
The ACE system literally showed their diagnosis, and you put that video in this video. Most, if not all, of the people in this video are professionally diagnosed, but it does not even matter. I've spoken about self-diagnosis before and how it is valid if you do your research. Self-diagnosing isn't just watching a few TikTok videos and saying, oh, I relate a little bit to this, I must have it. Self-diagnosis can start that way, but that is not what self-diagnosis is. Self-diagnosing takes an insane amount of research, of working on yourself and a lot of internal work. But you don't know how they were dealing with triggers, because they don't post their entire life 24/7 online. Nobody knows how we deal with our triggers off of stream unless we choose to talk about it.
Individuals patting each other on the back, and after that their community made a big fuss about donating to charity in one of their videos. But did any of you notice they never actually showed or even talked about which charity they gave the money to? Look, at this point I'm not going to spell it out, but where did all of that money supposedly go?
Again, there is no proof that is being shown of any of this.
They claimed it went to supporting people with DID, but we never saw that. So I guess draw your own conclusions on that one. But in my opinion, there's obviously something seriously off here.
Hey everybody, it's Alex from the A System. I just want to make a quick video. We've ended up the subject of a couple of hate pages. People calling us fake and saying they don't believe us and they don't believe we're real. That's not going to stop us. We want to educate the general public on dissociative identity disorder. We want to show that it's not scary and that we're not monsters. We're not what Hollywood makes us out to be.
Everybody, it's Asher the Best Alter at our psychiatrist appointment. Me, Alex, and Art all talked to him. It was nuts.
There's our diagnosis. We got the DID and the depression.
Shout out, we got the big sad.
And as we've been scrolling through the A-System videos, I haven't seen much educational content, except for maybe that first video, which honestly was pretty
But like Alex said just a moment ago, the goal is to make sure that people know that people with DID are not monsters or scary or something like Hollywood likes to make us out to be. That in itself is educational, because it is reducing stigma.
misleading. TikTokers like him will do anything for views, likes, and the perks. Claiming to have these disorders makes them feel special and gets them attention, and it's actually their ticket to escape reality and find a community of fellow phonies.
That is slightly ironic because DID develops because a child is trying to escape from their situation the only way that they can. Because when the fight and flight responses don't work, when nothing is working, all you can really do is dissociate, play dead, pretend that it isn't happening so that you can survive it.
Art, and this is a special day in a life. Hey, it's Asher.
What up? It's Jonas.
Let's go to lunch. Hey, it's Art.
It's Cameron.
I got a bake and a salad. And my favorite thing, a large black tea. Asher always gets the food. I'm stealing lunch today. Hi, it's April.
Hi, this is Cyrus.
We finally got to meet. People wanted us to meet.
Caught you in 4K editing a video.
Hi, it's Art again. In case anybody didn't know, that is the Sprite Company on TikTok. We got to meet another system in person. It was a good day. Hi, everybody. It's Art.
This is the video that McLean used. I don't remember if it was the last stream that I spoke about the specific video or if it was another stream, but I have already spoken about the video. That is what some switches can be like.
Why we don't make the same type of content that we used to, because we have made probably 2,000 TikToks and like 50 YouTube videos, and we've made like so much content. We've done every format. We've done music videos, we've done transitions, day in a life, round robins. We've done all the content that we could think of making. Like, we made it all. We're done. Now we're just living and like shit posting most of the time. This is just what we're doing. I really hope that y'all that are still around are enjoying it and, you know, are along with us for this ride that we're on. You know, we have no idea where it's going to end up. We're just living every day that day.
Okay, now here's the last scoop on him. He's been fussing recently about running out of content to share, and no professionals have been willing to treat him for the past few weeks, not even inpatient care.
That is a major issue in the mental health space. A lot of doctors will just write off DID as bipolar or borderline personality disorder because it is easier to treat than DID. DID is incredibly complex. Each system works differently. The symptoms may present differently in different systems. And there is a lot of trauma that everyone with DID deals with. It took us how long would that be? Almost 10 years to actually get the correct diagnosis and start being correctly treated. And it is not easy, especially right now where a lot of therapists have a 9 to 12 month wait list. Inpatient facilities are constantly full. There is simply not enough space for people to get the treatment that they need.
Well, considering all the crap he's been spreading online, it kind of adds up, you know? The sheer arrogance and audacity he displays. If he really wanted to get better, he should have done it before, instead of wasting time on these stupid
Taking a minute to make a TikTok video will not make you improve in your health any less. It will not take any less time. They are just existing. They don't need to be in some sort of treatment 24/7. That would be exhausting. That would overwhelm the system. That would cause more splits. People need breaks.
TikTok videos that add nothing to educational purposes for anyone. So next time you guys come across people who do any of the stuff that we had mentioned in this video, at least question it. Just have a think. And I'm not saying everyone online fakes. That would obviously be harmful. What I am saying is if they make it seem really fun, they take your money, they're self-diagnosed, and they're doing things that
Again, the A system did not self-diagnose. There was no proof of the charity thing. There are no sources cited. just because someone is existing online and they are open about some of the things that they experience does not mean that they are faking. It took me an hour to get through half of that video. Okay. So, Pixie Locks did a community post. Actually, let me find it. Okay. I'm going to read it out. So it was posted 12 hours ago. They say, please leave me alone. Hi everyone, I'm aware there have been some awful drama videos posted about me recently-ish, and I'd like to take this moment to address some things. Most of it is recycled lolcow stuff, and the main guy implies that he was never actually a viewer and only knows of me as a lolcow. I cannot believe this guy is straight up trying to say I was never essayed. This is one of the most insane, disgusting things you could ever allege. He says that because at certain points I referred to the same incident as different things, essay, a power imbalance relationship, or CSA, it must all be a lie. Anyone who knows the basics about SA and trauma would know it's very common for the victim to not fully recognize or accept the true gravity of what happened to them until years later. I've been talking about this in therapy for over a decade now. It wasn't until around 2018 when I was sitting with a counselor who gently helped me make that breakthrough. This is all extremely basic trauma healing stuff. Another claim I want to shoot down real quick is that me being 12 or 13 would have made me too old to develop DID from that incident. Firstly, the abuse occurred over a series of months that included my 13th birthday, so that's why I have sometimes said 12 and other times 13. Secondly, that wasn't what caused my DID. Again, if you watched my videos instead of getting all your research from hate forums, you'd be informed because in Barry's video, we share that she split in our early childhood. I am formally diagnosed with DID. I don't know why we are still talking in circles about this after 3 years. You are being willfully ignorant at this point. I mentally cannot go through and reply to every single slanderous thing said in this hit piece. I can only hope people will see it for what it is, a drama video made by sourcing a hate forum to target a mentally ill person for laughs. So that is the post. And I'm not sure exactly which video they're referring to, but I did find two. And one of them is by someone that we have reacted to before, who spreads misinformation.
Hi, I just got...
Can we please get the content warning for more than half a second? I think this video is actually want to check the comments and see. So I'm not seeing in the comments of the Pixilox community post. I'm not seeing anyone outright state who it was by, but I think these are the two videos.
Hi, I just got diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder a few days ago. I don't know how to tell people about it or come out about that. Okay, so I'm at the superstore and I'm gonna get a cake. That also, this is inspired by Kai Robinson on Twitter, who had the congrats on the autism cake.
So this was a video that McLean also used in their horrific presentation. Pixilox is not celebrating having DID. And they have said this. They are celebrating having the diagnosis and finally knowing what is going on.
Gonna get a happy DID diagnosis cake. Let's go. Could I get some writing on this cake? Look at it go. I just did a little photo shoot. Oh my god, wish me luck.
Fake. Absolutely zero kernel of truth. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't going to be that kind of video. I genuinely can't say I'm going to entertain both sides, but some people have said this is giving. What if someone said, congrats on the clinical depression, congrats on the generalized anxiety disorder, congrats on the PTSD cake? If someone congratulated me on being diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, I might...
So let me just stop and say, Pixie got that cake for themselves. They did that. No one else did it for them. It was not someone giving them that cake. It was them doing that themselves.
be angry and I might just be confused, I don't know. If you don't know, dissociative identity disorder is a mental health condition that is created from severe and repeated childhood trauma. Your brain is at a point where it does not understand how to process this traumatic event and continue living, so it splits off into multiple identities.
That is actually false according to the theory of structural dissociation, which is the most widely accepted theory of how DID forms. Nobody starts out with a full personality. Everyone starts out with personality states, ego states. And as you grow and learn about the world around you, those ego states will integrate and form your personality. Once that happens, DID cannot form. So DID is not a splitting of an already full personality. It is not even being able to form that full personality in the first place.
This can seem as though it is saving your life during childhood, but as you grow into adulthood without therapy, it can be quite detrimental to your life. I found different studies everywhere, but one study I read said that 72% of individuals with DID have attempted suicide. So Pixie Locks, the individual we're covering today, decides to get a happy DID diagnosis cake just to inform the people that they know. Every person with DID is different in the same way that every person without DID is different. The way that a DID system develops is very much based on how that child thought they would survive unconsciously during time of trauma. I've seen different statistics, but in order to develop develop DID, the trauma needs to have happened at a young age. Otherwise, if it happens in your teenhood, it can turn into different disorders such as...
That is correct. Once the personality fully integrates around the ages of 7 to 9, which can be more or less depending on the person, you cannot develop DID after that happens. Oh, there are sources cited. That is
complex PTSD. It's understandable that finally getting a diagnosis can be a personal achievement. I finally understand what all these symptoms mean, but it can be open to potential backlash, and it can even be harmful for the person with DID. Everyone with DID is different, but I have heard from people who don't want to tell certain friends or family members that they have DID for safety concerns.
And that is fine, but Pixie did what they felt comfortable doing. I've never understood the issue with this, because it is not celebrating having DID. It is saying, I'm happy that I finally have this diagnosis and know what is going on.
Someone might hear I have DID as in I have amnesia and am able to be easily manipulated. So I'm going to be talking about why some people on the internet don't believe that Pixie Locks has DID. I'll share my opinion as well, but spoiler alert, I'm not their mental health care professional. So make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's get into it. Shortly before being diagnosed, Pixie Locks describes discovering DID content creators such as Dissociated and Teen Pinata.
And I had been starting to see DID videos pop up in my recommended over the course of 2019, really, because you guys know I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder last year in the spring. Actually, I remembered I was diagnosed on Valentine's Day, so like, I love me. So through rabbit holing and clicking through YouTube, I started absolutely falling in love with all these different DID YouTubers, specifically Dissociated.
Hi YouTube, my name is Jake. Hello. My name's Gregory. And my name is Mike. Hello guys. This is Kyle.
And Teen Pinata.
Hey, it's Jeremy. Yay, Jeremy can say hi. It's Leslie and we were dating. We are.
And their videos have really helped me understand my symptoms better.
Obviously, what I'm going to be sharing with you does not mean that Pixie Locks is faking it, nor does it mean that Dissociated is faking it. However, Dissociated did share their scores on the Dissociated Experiences scale, scoring a 71.
And then after that, we moved on to the SDQ20, Somatoform Dissociation Questionnaire. We scored 71, which again is a high score.
This does not mean that absolutely 100% they are faking. However, anything over a 60 on the DES scale.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Scale can be indicative of a factitious disorder. When taking the DES score, someone who is malingering might over-report commonly known symptoms of the disorder. They might have stereotypical alters and enjoy the idea of having the disorder.
Having stereotypical alters does not mean that someone is malingering. Hello, thank you for the follow. I believe that's a follow, yes. I'm still getting used to this layout. I miss Twitch Studio. Streamlabs is confusing, but welcome. I don't know what it would mean either. I guess a stereotypical physical protector being someone very strong, which makes sense for a physical protector. Stereotypical alters never made any sense to me. I guess you could say that one of the alters I was before I fused, Val, she was a sexual protector, and she was very flirtatious and very open about herself. maybe that would count as something stereotypical. But I have no idea. Maybe, I don't know. It's having stereotypical alters. It's almost like if a child is going through something traumatic and they like superheroes, and superheroes are always very strong and very brave, it's almost like children will latch onto those stereotypes. It's almost like that happens.
They might be able to tell a chronological life story and might lack shame, guilt, or suffering. This video is about Pixie Locks, but in the context of they mostly discovered DID from specifically online communities and Dissociated. People have come forward about believing that Dissociated has taken their trauma history and made it their own.
There is absolutely no proof of Dissociated ever doing that, and I know that someone in our comments wants us to react to some Dissociated videos, so depending on how I am feeling after getting through this video and the next one, I may end up doing that in this stream, but we will have to see. Being interject heavy is very valid. We have, I want to say, 2 subsystems who are exclusively made up of fictives, but I could be completely wrong about that.
This is all alleged, but one person said, I am one system that they asked inappropriate questions and used our inner world. Another said, we are one of those people, and it's not just our inner world they basically copied, but traits of our alters suddenly became full alters of hers. You can read the whole thing, but maybe Pixie Locks didn't realize that DID can be presented in a way that isn't seen a lot online.
I came to school the next day, and I was chatting in the halls with my 2 other friends in fashion who I didn't even know were also in on all the, like, Dissociated lore. Because, you know, there's quite a lot of information you pick up when you're following DID YouTubers. There's a lot of different names and quirks and personalities and inside jokes and things.
I just want to take a second. I love her look in this video. Absolutely love it. It is so pleasing to look at.
So it's really fun when you meet other people in real life that, like, follow these people. You're like, oh my god, did you see that video? I love Jeremy. They're so cute together. Oh my god, the proposal. Tee-hee. I knew nothing about DID before I found Nin and Nan and all the other systems on YouTube, and I started researching it there. I really didn't understand.
On October 10th of 2019, Pixie Locks made a video saying that they are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder.
Earlier this year, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder.
They talk about how their voice alterations can be explained by
That is completely valid. That makes complete sense too. Moon Knight seems to be one of the only good representations of DID in media. We've not seen Moon Knight before. Maybe we'll try getting into it eventually, but we've never been big on Marvel or DC or any of that. That's interesting. Maybe we'll have to look more into that then.
By mimicking other vocal tones of people around them, TV shows they're watching, which some people with DID BPD do experience this.
In certain videos, my voice will sound different or higher or lower, or I'll be putting on a voice or an accent, or I'll be like fading talking, we're using weird phrases and stuff. This is because of my disorder.
Throughout the video, they spend a lot of time talking about emotional regulation, their voice change, but only spend about 2 minutes talking about dissociation. Later, when they got their DID diagnosis, they said that dissociation was one of the main symptoms of their BPD.
I kind of went under the assumption that I was BPD dissociating so hard, because dissociation is one of the factors for BPD, and I was diagnosed with BPD, so I was like, oh, that tracks.
Borderline personality disorder is characterized by unstable moods, behavior, and relationships. Symptoms include emotional instability, feelings of worthlessness, insecurity, impulsivity, and impaired social relationships. You might have an identity disturbance, an unstable sense of identity, you might feel like you lack an identity, and some have a chronic feeling of emptiness. But does this mean that she just has BPD and is convincing herself she has DID? Not necessarily. They can be comorbid, as in you have DID and BPD. But to entertain the idea that someone with BPD might believe they have DID, there are some overlapping symptoms, although, to reiterate, they are completely different disorders. BPD is a cluster B personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder is a dissociative disorder. Both might have emotional
That's interesting. We know absolutely nothing about the Marvel or DC universes, if I'm going to be honest. But it does sound like that's one of the good representations of DID in media, which is something that needs to be seen more.
turmoil and feel as though they have multiple conflicting parts within them, although, again, very different from BPD and DID. All of this is to say that someone with BPD might watch content on DID and be able to relate to some of the experiences.
I realized, I was walking to school, and I was like, has that water fountain always been there? Yes. Oh my, have these trees always been this tall? Yes. I can't. Dissociation's really freaky, and it's not fun.
When you have DID, your experiences are linked to dissociative amnesia or gaps in memory. Whereas in BPD, dissociation might be less severe. You might feel detached from yourself or your surroundings. On November 21st of 2021, Pixie Locks makes a video saying that they have been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder.
I did not know that either. That is interesting.
Hello, Confetti Club. It is Pixie, and this is Jill. I've been going through some particularly unique and challenging mental health struggles, which has, in the end, resulted in me being recently diagnosed with DID, dissociative identity disorder.
Before their DID diagnosis, they didn't really talk about having conflicting voices in their head, but after their diagnosis, they talk about how they have like 5 different people in their head.
At the point I'm at now, it's...
Just because they didn't speak about it before doesn't mean that it wasn't happening. You don't know what all they went through to learn about their system. You don't know.
Very much simmered down, but at the start of it, it really was like picking a hornet's nest. Things just kind of frazzled up, and it was very loud and busy in my head. It would often feel like I was in like a crowded cafeteria and there's just chatter and it's only 5 of us. But when you're used to 1 or 2 kind of conflicting voices, thinking that was a normal inner monologue, 4 to 5 all at once is a huge change.
I'm not here to say that there is a specific way you're supposed to react to being diagnosed. A diagnosis can be accompanied with denial or like, oh my goodness, system overload, no pun intended, in the way that this was supposed to be covert, you weren't supposed to know about this. So in this way, it seems like they are adding symptoms in order to embellish their portrayal.
I'm sorry, how is that them adding symptoms simply by speaking about their experience? Yes, we've had a similar experience. We thought that everyone had an internal monologue that kind of had its own mind, like you couldn't control it.
Or it can literally just be their experience. Shortly after their diagnosis, they come out with multiple Meet the Alters videos. This is not impossible, but it is somewhat uncommon.
Hi, my name is Jarek, and I am the co-host
of the system that's up in here.
Yeah, my name is Veronica.
Hello! My name is Flora. But yes, my name is Cliff.
Hi, my name is Sunny.
Each alter seems to know exactly when they're split, which is possible due to therapy, but this would require the alter to be consenting and okay with talking about their experiences in therapy.
Not necessarily needing to go through therapy. Alters do have their own memories and experiences. I can't remember if we've ever seen Pinocchio, actually. I don't remember. But no, an alter does not need to go through therapy to know what memories they have. I think... Okay, when I was Val, before I fused... Yes, exactly. Before I fused, Val... Her first memories started at around the age of when we were 3. I'm not going to share anyone else's experiences because I don't know if they want them shared. But when I was Val, I knew the age that I split off at. That is completely valid as well.
Right away. They also talk about the traumas that cause them to split, which can be concerning because the point of DID is for these amnesic barriers to be present.
So I'm sexual protector, and also social protector. I am originally a persecutor, and I identify, I guess, as a persecutor protector.
Yes, my name is Cliff, and I am our primary protector. I formed to help with a lot of those adult things, banking, taxes.
And I am a caretaker in our system. The video called My Response on this channel, very dramatic, by the way. That's the reason. That is the reason why I exist. That whole debacle. There were 2 alters that ended up splitting off from that ordeal, and basically there was me, who kind of formed to keep, like, the faith in humankind, to, like, not lose faith in humanity, to, like, remember what joy feels like, and then Amber formed to be the, like, like, I guess you could say that I'm like the internal protector and she's the external protector.
There is no time limit, but for a lot of people...
That did not sound at all like they were speaking about the trauma that formed them. Obviously, the McLean situation. But there were no specific details. So I'm confused. If I'm honest, I've never heard of rapid splitting, but I assume that it's just splitting very quickly and splitting a lot very quickly. Which does make sense, especially if a system does have a lower stress tolerance. Okay. That's a new term. I've never heard that term before. That's interesting. We've definitely had instances like that.
Well, it takes years to process and be okay with hearing about these traumas in order to integrate.
You don't need to integrate to speak about the trauma. The whole point of the disorder is to dissociate. You detach yourself. There are a lot of absolutely horrific memories that I have that I can speak about with no issue because I am so dissociated from the emotions of it. Exactly.
Person with DID is different, but shortly after diagnosis, it can be quite distressing to learn about these traumas that caused your mind to split.
Okay, again, it's not a splitting of the mind. And you don't know if the host, Jillian, learned about what exactly happened to have those alters form.
Typically, it's different for every system, but might not come with knowledge of how they were created. Some alters might be aware of the trauma that caused their formation, but might be reluctant to share it with other alters in the...
Yes. That does not mean that they can't feel comfortable doing a little Meet the Alters video.
System. They stated that they didn't realize they had DID until they saw it online, but were also aware of their inner world since they were in middle school.
Our inner world.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That is exactly what DID is. We were aware of our inner world since a late elementary, early middle school. We didn't know it was an inner world, but we were aware of it. And we didn't realize that we had DID until 2021. Exactly.
World has completely changed over the course of my life. It shifted from like a grassy forest, and then in middle school it shifted to this post-apocalyptic desert, like futuristic, which was absolutely completely just sucked out from the Danger Days world from My Chemical Romance and like Gerard Way's comic.
Which can be understandable due to a normalization of experiences. I mean, it's not like they have a control effort, like they know what it's like to not have DID. So I don't know, if you have DID, feel free to comment below. I mean, I've heard from people with DID who believed that they had narcolepsy because they felt like when they switched they were going unconscious. Others explained their amnesia away by thinking they had dementia. I do understand that amnesia can be like explained away by the brain. It's not like, oh, I don't remember anything I did this morning. For example, it's been said to me, like, imagine what it would be like if someone tried to describe to you, what did you do last week? You know, would tell me exactly what you had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and be like, I don't know, is that amnesia? No, that's a normal experience. You know what I mean? You don't have a control effort. It is interesting to me, though, that they said they wanted a diagnosis specifically so that the internet would believe them. Maybe I'm just taking it out of context, I don't know.
I knew that I had to have it like etched in stone on my grave by God, or like the internet was not gonna believe me.
Do I think
it's because of people like you that systems feel the need to prove their validity and prove their diagnosis. It is because of people like you who make videos like this. It is because of subreddits like FDC. It is because of the whole stigma around the disorder. You are the problem here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Honestly, that is, yes. You put it perfectly. These people are the problem. Again, do not harass or attack anyone in these videos or who makes these videos. And I am not going to be using personal insults, but I am also not going to sugarcoat anything. These people are the issue. These are the people who are creating more stigma around DID. They are the ones setting the system community as a whole back. They are the reason that it is so difficult to find help. They are the reason. It is people like this who are the issue. And I will not sugarcoat that. It is people like this who do not even have DID, who decide to make videos, fake claiming different systems, spreading misinformation. They are the issue. It is people like this that are the issue. You can talk about your opinions, that is fine, but it is not okay to be spreading misinformation. It is not okay to be calling out individual systems. I don't think I've ever seen that meme, but that is a perfect example. It's just incredibly frustrating.
She's a master manipulator who scored perfectly on all these diagnostic tests because they did all this research on Dissociative's channel. No, I don't know. Pixie Locks made a video showing their diagnosis on paper, except it wasn't a diagnosis, it was a diagnostic impression.
The reason I wanted this diagnosis on paper from doctors, whatever it would be, DID, PTSD, BPD, histrionic, I was open to anything. Schizophrenia, whatever's wrong with me, let me know, I want to work on it. And that's me. That is her right there. The first pick of the bunch.
Because I have this internet presence, I knew that this would not go well. I knew that I had to have it like etched in stone on my grave by God, or like the internet was not gonna believe me. So we paid $2,200 and we got a proper psych eval done, which was by psychologists, not therapists.
DID often causes severe distress and impairment. A lot of people might not seek a diagnosis for validation solely. Everyone is different. A lot of people with DID might not want to be defined solely by their disorder. They might not even tell everyone about their disorder. You know what I mean? They said when they got diagnosed, the first thing they said was something to the extent of, so I have it, right? Like I can tell people that I have it. So Scapegoat actually made a video about this and he covered this subject very well and explained it very well. So instead of just covering the same thing he did, I'm going to let him explain it.
In Canada, at least, a diagnosis is given verbally.
So yes, technically she is correct. It is communicated verbally to the patient. However,
the psychologist told me to my face, how do you feel about receiving this diagnosis? How do you feel?
That is entirely valid. I know that we had similar feelings about getting our diagnosis because, especially in disorders like DID, because of the amnesia and the denial and the pure amount of trauma and pain that causes DID to develop, a lot of systems fake claim themselves. We do not need other people fake claiming us for us. We can do it ourselves. That is what happens so often. People don't need to waste their time fake claiming us when we are doing it to ourselves already. Having validation and people saying that they have noticed things and that things add up and that we aren't faking is so important. Very true. Very true. I think I was going to say something else. I'm not the same type of dissociated I was in the last stream, but I'm still dissociated. I think it's mostly because I can just hear so many other alters doing other things nearby.
And I'm so fucking lame. I literally said, so I can tell people I have this, right? Like I'm diagnosed with this. I literally said those words and she said yes. So on paper, does it say diagnostic impression, dissociative identity disorder? Yes, because that is the impression of the report that the psychologist uses to inform her diagnosis, which is given verbally.
This might literally be the biggest case of trust me, bro, you had to be there I have ever seen.
The absolute misunderstanding of the health system that has been weaponized to try and debunk my mental illness is absolutely ridiculous. So I hope this finally explains that situation. I am officially diagnosed with DID. Yes, the paper says diagnostic impression. Yes, in a prior video I said a diagnostic impression is not a diagnosis. And I embarrassingly specifically asked, I can tell people I have DID, right? I have DID, right? You're telling me, right, for sure? And she said, yes.
Hi, I just wanted to add a little note that, yeah, it seems like some people think that you get a certificate or some sort of official standardized, like, card or document or ticket or something, but the diagnosis is given verbally, and whatever's written on the paper is the way that those professionals do it. There is no standardized national or international, like, card that they give you.
You say that there is no paperwork or card or anything that is standardized nationally or internationally that confirms a diagnosis of DID. Well then what the fuck do they send to the insurance?
I might actually have to save that next video for a different stream because I don't know if I have the mental energy to watch that and not completely go off. Because just the small clips that this person is putting of the other video in this is already frustrating me immensely. Different mental health professionals have different paperwork. There's no standardized way of presenting a diagnosis to insurance or to anyone. Different mental health professionals will use different systems, different paperwork layouts. Do you know what they send to the insurance companies? Have you ever seen a mental health professional send off something to the insurance company? Because I haven't. I don't think most people have. Unless you are a mental health professional or you work in insurance, then more than likely you will not have seen that. So I am confused as to why no, but I got it.
Companies, brain scans, medical assessments, any of the criterion for the DSM-5 that is recorded on paperwork, yet
you do not need a brain scan or any of that to be diagnosed with DID. Yes, there are the tests that you can do, which I am... Yes, Pixie Lux did say that they went and they did the whole lawn test. Those are the tests are standardized. But you don't get an official certificate, like they said, with your diagnosis on it. It's not like they give you a diploma for having a DID diagnosis so that you can hang it up in your room.
You say there is no paperwork proving a diagnosis.
That's not what they said. That is not what they said. Pixie Lex said that there is no just card or paper that they hand out once you are diagnosed. Because there is not. That is also true, and hello, I am sorry that you have to experience this with me, but I am happy to have you here, if that made any sense. Corey, give me 5 minutes, please.
How is that fucking possible unless there is no diagnosis?
That is very valid. Welcome. I think... Do we have any anger holders? I know that we have... We did have an anger holder who fused with one of our nightmare holders. So we did have an anger holder. I don't know if we have anger holders still somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, okay, that's super cool. Fictives and factives and all, whatever type of ultra you are welcome here. The only thing that this is not a safe space for is people who claim to be endogenic. Ash was technically a fictive, I think. But I know that we've had fictives who struggle a lot with not being in their source anymore.
There's no official certificate or stamp. People keep asking for proof, but there is no magic golden ticket.
Yeah, I get that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to sound like it was cool that you were a fictive. I don't know if I made any sense with that. I apologize. Words are not great right now. So I definitely won't be able to react to the dissociated videos in this stream. Yeah, I'll probably get through this video and have to end.
Ticket that says I have DID.
Listen to this claim very closely. She says she has no official documentation of a diagnosis, only a diagnostic impression. And this is important because words matter, especially in a medical field where...
What? I'm sorry, what?
Unless there is no diagnosis.
There's no official certificate or stamp. People keep asking for proof, but there is no magic golden ticket that says I have DID.
Listen to this claim very closely.
All that Pixie is saying there is that there is no little certificate or card or anything that they hand everyone with their diagnosis on it. It's not some magical thing.
He says she has no official documentation of a diagnosis, only a diagnostic impression. And this
I'm not going to have a great time with that video when I react to it. But Pixie never said that they never had any documentation of their diagnosis. They just said that there's not any one thing that...
This is important because words matter, especially in a medical field where life and death.
Ooh. I can't even imagine that. I am so sorry.
Decisions are made based on words.
Thank you so much to Scapegoat for describing this. His video and link to his channel are in the description. I don't know, has anyone with DID, feel free to comment below. Let me know, did you never get a diagnostic report or medical record?
We've had papers saying that we have it, but we weren't given a chart. It's not like a physical medical report. I know we were given a treatment plan outline that has our diagnosis on it. But we were never given a report thing. It's not a report card.
They are willing to go into details of the traumas that happened to them over the age of like middle school. I definitely agree with the concept that you should never have to tell anyone about the trauma that happened to you, period. My only point in covering this is that a lot of the alters you see on the camera seem to have split during middle school era or high school era, which is just not when DID develops, but obviously it is possible to continue splitting when traumas happen to you. I do think it's interesting that they originally said their therapist thought they were kind of looking at a OSED, DID kind of range, and then they said they wanted to seek a diagnosis for whatever they had. I don't know, it seems like they're kind of...
Oh, I would probably score an F. I would definitely score an F. I think Corey is definitely co-fronting now. But I'm not going to try and mess around with the name stuff or the pictures or anything. No, I'm not messing around with that. Flunking out of that. Flunking out in amnesia class.
Of not saying something, leaving something out, or I could be wrong. They also do discuss their therapist, their therapy, the EMDR, you know, their experience getting a diagnosis. They don't go into it extremely often, but they do share more than the average person would with imitative DID online.
I would forget to go to amnesia class. I would forget to go. I'm very glad that I chose to read off Pixielax's community post before getting into this video, because it just proves a lot of the things. Corey, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. It's almost done. Pixielax on YouTube made a community post about 12 hours ago addressing the recent-ish drama videos that have been going around about them, and basically saying that they never claimed to have developed DID when they were 12 to 13, and that their DID did develop in childhood, and just saying that people need to stop harassing them and trying to make assumptions about their diagnosis. So we saw that post and immediately went to search up to try and find the videos that they were talking about, and these two were like the most recent, I think. This one was a couple weeks ago, and I think this one was about a month ago. But just because someone does not speak about the trauma that they experienced that caused their DID to develop, exactly. It is not like someone doesn't have DID and then immediately after getting diagnosed all the symptoms show up. But comparing Pixie Locks to someone with imitative DID is not okay. At all. It just is not. Just because they basically like malingering, faking, it's another thing, fake claiming. Yeah, I need to finish this.
Fine. So yeah, I'm going to kind of leave you with that. I'm very curious to know people's thoughts in the comments down below, but obviously I hope this goes without saying that do not send this person hate. Just, you know, please leave them alone.
Please leave them alone, don't send them hate, but I'm also going to fake claim them and make assumptions about their trauma and their diagnosis and what they've been through. The videos like this are so tone deaf. They're so tone deaf. And just so ignorant, and the people who make them are so arrogant. Honestly. And I've reacted to videos by this person before because they've made videos on Dissociated, making assumptions about their trauma and their experiences, and this person does not have DID. They have openly said multiple times that they do not have DID. I wish that people without DID would stop making these videos. People with DID have been through enough. We should be allowed to exist without people scrutinizing us and trying to dissect every single detail of our life. because yes, it's I should probably end stream before I say something that I should not. But I think our YouTube should be linked on our channel. We'll have the VOD up at some point tonight, probably. And in the pinned comment, we will have our Google Doc with all of our sources. And we do have the VOD where we go over that doc. I think it's called Dear r/fake disorder cringe. But we've also been updating our playlists on our YouTube channel now so that people can actually find things. So there is a playlist on our channel in the gameplay section, I believe, called Let's Chat, and the Dear r/FDC video is in there. Am I forgetting anything? I think that covers it. 2-hour stream today, which isn't bad. Longer than the usual hour streams that we've been barely managing to do. But thank you everyone for watching. Again, do not send anyone mentioned in these videos or anyone who makes these videos any hate. That is not the purpose of these streams and the VODs. The purpose is to correct misinformation. Because there is so much misinformation in so many of these videos. But that is all I have for now, so thank you, and have a good day or night.